Board of Education meeting will come to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam President, I move we approve the agenda with the following amendments. Additional certified and classified personnel actions for consideration, item number D3. Add item number D4E, parents as teacher, continuing education, continuation grant proposal, Add item number J1, executive session for matters of non-elected personnel and their contractual obligations, because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed. Is there a second? Mark, is there discussion? Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just need to make one point of clarification on number 2. This year, the process for parents as teachers has been changed a little bit, just due to some things that were happening in Topeka, and we didn't get our grant application until at some point on Friday. So I heard this morning from our parents as teacher person, and we need to get that grant application completed and submitted by May 27th, but it needs to be approved by the board, and we weren't able to get it all put together in one day. So I provided you a memo with the dollar amounts. It'll be the same dollar amounts that we requested for this year. This is kind of a routine thing that we do, but you're not seeing the actual application like you normally do, and you normally would have seen it in April. So rather than schedule a special board meeting just to approve that, if the board's comfortable with it, we've added it to the consent agenda, but I wanted you to know that, and you've got that. That's what that memo explains.
Further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. Moving on to, is there any communications or public comments? Okay. Recognitions. It looks like our first one is with Alta Brown Elementary School with Janet Reed.
Actually, it's both of us, Janet and Roger. A few weeks ago, we came to you and showed you 6 tubs of tabs. We took them to the Ronald McDonald House in Wichita. They came out with a little trash can. When I said, we have some tabs for you, and then they saw Roger stacking up those 6 big tubs of tabs, and they were just thoroughly overwhelmed. Well, since then, Dr. Carlin and Mrs. Moores had contacted us and said that they kind of wanted to make it a contest, that you had talked it over. And Bernadine Sit School, which is where I am this year, we had been in the lead all year. We started out with 39 pounds. Well, Alta Brown, you guys blew them out of the water. And if our 2 reps from Alta Brown can stand up, Judy Jennings and Kelly Calvin and their principal, Julie Cobridge, for the month of April, they had filled both of these, plus had filled a container like this 3 times and had 41 pounds of tabs, which was amazing. And ladies, you beat my school by 1 pound. You came in at 64 pounds, and for that, the 3 of you will come up here, please. Thanks to our Board of Education and Dr. Carlin, you are the first recipients of our traveling trophy for the Pop Tab Challenge. It shows Alta Brown Elementary School for 2016, and hopefully you can do this again, or someone else can enjoy it, some of the other schools who are represented out here, but congratulations for a job. Very, very well done.
Thank you.
Very well done.
Just know that there was a competition even.
No.
All right.
And nobody knew that, which really made it fun. Abe Hubert Elementary ended up with a total for the year of 28 pounds. And reps from Abe Hubert, if you'll raise your hands. Buffalo Jones, Tammy Riggs is the one who coordinates that. You were 1 pound behind at 27. I mean, very, very close. 11.5 pounds from Edith Sharman. 14.25 pounds from Florence Wilson. Gertrude Walker had 22 pounds for the month of April for a total of 44.25. Jenny Barker had 1 pound. Jenny Wilson, 13.5. Bernadine Sitz came in at 63 pounds. Charles Stones, 1/2 pound. The alternative school had 1/4 pound. The ESC had 2 3/4 pounds. Tyson had donated 6 pounds. The Garden City River Riders had donated 8 pounds. And then Since Then Hard Rock Lanes has donated 3 pounds. So right now at our house, we have about 120 more pounds to take to Ronald McDonald House. So we thank you again for the board and for Dr. Carlin with the traveling trophy. And again, congratulations. I'm glad it was kind of a surprise about the traveling trophy, but display it with pride. We have had people ask if this is going to continue. The answer is yes. We do want it to continue, and it's my understanding, Mrs. Hopkins, is that Dr. Hopkins was saying something, maybe the board could be in on the competition. So we'll give you each your own little Ronald McDonald collection boxes. So schools, look out, because the board might be really pushing to get that trophy.
Seltzer water and sparkling plum tea. Good, healthy varieties.
And again, thank you so much. Congratulations to the groups who provided.
Now we have Mr. Singh.
All right, it is my pleasure. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here again to honor my teachers and my students. I just want to first start off that I'm featuring 4 of my teachers that are in the Arts and Communications Academy. First of all, I want to say that Summer Miller, Jane Vanderhoff, and Russ Tidwell are all, well, Summer's not here, but they're all Crystal Apple winners. And Lyle Sobel, who's also here, is a Crystal Apple finalist. So those are who are being featured tonight. I am acting as Summer Miller tonight. She had a surprise barbecue or something that the kids threw for her. So I want to talk a little bit about, I want to feature Jesse Johannes, Haley Dugard, who is not here, Sir Dennis, and Bernard Altamirano, or wait a minute, did I get that wrong?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Good start.
Things are going well. Come forward, sir, and tell them your name.
Rafael Diaz.
Rafael Diaz. You guys all got 2s on your solos, right? On your state solos?
I have a 3.
You had a 3.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, we're going to act like you had a 2.
Yeah, all right.
Okay? And Bernard, wasn't he also a recipient of a 2?
Yes.
I believe? Okay, so I didn't blow it completely. So, anyway, Raphael's here. But these children I'm very proud of. It is very difficult on a stringed instrument to get excellent or superior ratings. So I'm very proud of them. And next up is Jane Vanderhoff. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you kids being here.
Good evening. I feel like we ought to sing Carol of the Bells or something. It's freezing. You ready? I'm Jane Vanderhoff, the choir director at the high school, along with Misty Baldwin. She is preparing for their dress rehearsal that a bunch of them will be going to tonight for their show choir extravaganza tomorrow night. So it's still going on. I appreciate the team that I have, along with Mr. Zoshki, the accompanist, and I also appreciate you, the school board, giving us this opportunity to spotlight our awesome kids, and our building administration, which is amazing, along with Mr. Singh, who is our strong advocate and helps us in many ways that are meaningful to us. We have 2 events for high school musicians at the state level. One of them begins in the fall with the preparation for district and state choir. It starts out with district choir in the fall, and then 2,500 students across the state of Kansas try out for all-state choir, and 256 make it. Out of the 256, 7 of them were from Garden City High School, along with 2 alternates, and I will introduce them first. First is Bailey Almas. This was her second year. If they make it all 3 years, they get a medal and recognition and scholarship offers from colleges all over the state. So that's another venue that this provides for them too. Rafael Diaz, Luz Labra. This is her, she's a sophomore, so we're going for the 3-year plan on her too. No pressure. Annalise Parr. Erica Ramos, this is her second year to make state also. Brandon Smith is also a sophomore, so we're hoping for the 3-year plan for him. And then our 2 alternates, Madison Adler and Brett Baldwin. Our next group of students, some of them will overlap because our kids do everything. They're fantastic. The other state level competition we have is solo, Acacia State, a solo and ensemble. When they go to regionals, it's our corner of the state, and the levels are mixed from small to large schools. If they get a 1 rating at regionals, then they go on to state, which is only 6A schools that they compete against. The pressure is on. A lot of the students in the 6A schools have private instructors that they work with year-round. It's not that way for us. So we do the best we can. We have the honor of going to state, and we hope for a couple of 1s. This year we broke our record, and we see 7 1 ratings at state and 4 2 ratings. So everyone who went got a 1 or a 2. The rating goes from 1 to 5. They have the honor of performing at the spring concert, so we had 7 students perform their solos at the spring concert, and it's awesome. So now I will introduce the 1 soloist were Madison Adler, if you will wait, Bailey Almas, Dakota Brungard, and while we're talking about Dakota received the honor of qualifying for a National Honor Choir that performed in Carnegie Hall. He auditioned last June on 2 solos, recorded solos, and was chosen from across the nation, and May performed in Carnegie Hall in February, which was amazing. Luz Labra, once again, Zach McVeigh, Annalise Parr, and Erica Ramos, and then we had 4 students who received 2 ratings at state. They are Brett Baldwin, Elena Lopez, Elizabeth Unruh, and her sister Emily, who is at work. We have busy students. So they've done the heights of what you can do in vocal music in the state. I applaud them because this was not during class time. This was during mentoring time. This was after school. This was before school. This was every spare minute they could get to do this accomplishment, and we're so proud of them and the team that we have. And thank you so much.
Students, great job. We're really proud of all of you. And Ms. Vanderhoff, great job.
So since you do have a dress rehearsal tonight, any vocal cords warmed up for a little bit? I'm kind of known for doing this.
Do you want to do the next part of the Irish blessing? Do you have a phone with you so you can get a G?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a G.
They're performers at heart, so they should be ready to go, right?
Is that a G?
Yes.
Ready?
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you, may God hold you. Thank you.
I know.
I don't mind it. You gotta go.
Members of the board, my name is Lyle Sobo. I'm the director of bands at Garden City High School, and we want to acknowledge our soloists that performed at the state contest a few weeks back. We're going to start with our 2 ratings. We had 2 students who couldn't be here, and a third who had to run out because he had to work at 6:30. So the students who are not here, Emily Unruh performed a French horn solo, received a 2. Colton May performed a euphonium solo and received a 2. And Zach George performed a trombone solo and received a 2. And then Andy Sue is here. He performed a trumpet solo and received a 2. And then we had a handful of students perform and receive 1 ratings. Students who couldn't make it this evening to be acknowledged for their 1 rating, Brianna Santana is a sophomore flute. She received a 1 rating on her solo. Karina Ortega is a junior alto sax, and she received a 1 rating on her solo. And then students who are here this evening, Mitzi Messinas is a senior. She performed a tenor saxophone solo and received a 1 rating. Erica Nicholson is a senior horn, and she performed and received a 1 rating. And Reagan Swank is a senior bari sax and performed and received a 1 rating. So overall, it was a great day for all of us, and we had a fabulous time and received a lot of good comments. So thanks so much for letting us come and
I
present.
wish your instruments traveled as well as a voice does. And then we'd have you demonstrate as well. Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah. Virtual instruments.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, thank you. We're really proud of all of you.
You feel like you've been attacked by the performing arts hallway now?
It's all good.
I'm here with the forensics team, and what I have tonight is at least a representation. We have a lot of kids who are at work or whatever, but of kids that either qualified for a national tournament or were on the 3rd place state 6A state team at the state tournament, or got ones at the other state thing that we do, which is a festival. And I'm going to just talk kind of generally. I'm not going to try to introduce them all. I'll let them do that as they walk through and talk to you. But I will tell you that at the end of this particular season, we had competed in a total of 17 tournaments, not counting the state tournament, and had won 11 of those and been in the top 3 at all but 2. We had a really, really good competitive season. Finished 3rd at the 6A state tournament. We had a goal this year to qualify more kids for nationals than we'd ever had before, which was, sometimes I say I have goals that seem like a better idea in January than in practice at the end. At the end of the season, we did 2 different national tournaments this year. The one that we always go to, which we'll go to in Salt Lake City in June, the tournament finished this year, we had 16 kids that qualified for a national event. And 11 of those kids are going to Salt Lake City in June. 4 of them went last weekend with me to the Tournament of Champions. And we had the Seraphin twins finished 31st out of all of the duos last weekend. And so we're finding that we're pretty competitive at a national level when we get there. We had 10 events at the state festival, which is analogous to a music festival. It's where we take the kids who don't make the state championship team, since the state association only lets us enter 16 in that tournament. We qualified 42 for that and had to cut that to 16. So the other kids are allowed to go, they're able to go to a festival. 10 events went to festivals, 7 of those got ones. We had 1 state champion, 16 entries at the state tournament, 8 of those were in finals. And I'm really proud of this group of people. In addition to that, I want to say 2 other things. One, I can't do this by myself, and Sarah Cook is here with us tonight. She's one of my assistant coaches. Barb Hilt is not here. She's one of the other assistant coaches because she's at a rehearsal for a community show. And Alice Cook is my other assistant for forensics. And they have made our program together, the 3 of them. They've made it better. And I can't do it without them. And thank you for the support for that. Finally, I want to say thanks to you as a board and to the administration here in the building and in our building. I think I said this a year ago, and we're a year further into what has become Kansas education and Kansas politics, and I'm seeing programs disappear, or funding cut, or people cut, or a coach leaves and there's no attempt to replace them, and things go away by attrition. And I'm very, very thankful to work in a district where people understand that things are tight, but we're doing the best we can to continue to take care of programs. And I appreciate that a lot, and the kids do too. So I give you the forensics kids who are national qualifiers, state finalists, or so.
I was going to say, you need to get over there and we need to get you in there.
Quick question, seniors, I just want to tell you. How long do you have the seniors before are they still competing, like going to June?
No, we have 2 or 3 of you.
It's just 2.
I know that we have 2.
Oh,
Erica, yeah, me and Erica.
Right. We have 2 seniors who will compete in Salt Lake City.
good, okay, excellent.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Eric.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm Erica. I'm in the class of 2006.
I'm anxious to be able to say I knew you'd win. Garden City.
This is Sarah. And it's Alice.
Oh, I think you need to take that scarf off. Oh, no, I want it. Thank you so much. Great job.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
I just think
Yeah.
it's
interesting that this was tonight because my oldest daughter just finished a PowerPoint musician for orchestra group, musicians or actors. And she said, Mom, she says, every one of those musicians, actors that they reported on in her class, they all had A's in school. And I think it's important that we keep these arts programs in here because I really think there's a direct line to having some of those skills and good grades. And I think this is wonderful, showing that what a successful
And to
program it is.
short-tail on what you just said, these programs give the emotional and social connection that these kids need to connect and to have that core peer group that they are excited to go to school to see. And it really makes them feel connected to their high school careers, and it adds a lot to them emotionally and as an individual person. So
What's the relationship?
yeah.
A lot of those skills you heard Dr. Watson talk about that employers are looking for, kids learn through their commitment and their effort and their practice and their discipline in these kinds of programs.
Look at the confidence that just walked through. The handshakes are different,
Right.
you know?
Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Great job.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell.
See you guys.
Looks like we're moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as previously amended.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, say so. Moving on to the curriculum report.
It's going to be a really hard act to follow. So first of all, I would like to bring the committee up here. We're going to give you an update on the readiness program. This was a 3-year pilot, and we're at the end of our 3rd year. It's hard to believe this is going really fast. But if I could get the committee to come on up, I will introduce you to them. And this is just a portion of the committee. So I would like to introduce Susan Boyle. She's a teacher at Edith Sharman, and she has been with us from the beginning. In fact, that first committee meeting that we had, she brought in the research on retention. So she's kind of kept us grounded in the research there. Brandy Nadd, she does a K-1 loop at Hubert, and both Susan and Brandy have been really instrumental in the grade level meetings that have occurred over the last couple of years, led by teachers after school to support each other. So this is kind of a PLC that they do on their own after school. Leah Molick, she's a K-1 Loop 2 at Abe Hubert, and she's recently started getting involved in some of that too. Jane Shoup, kindergarten at Florence Wilson, has also been instrumental in some of those grade level meetings, and they've all worked with this readiness committee. Have a couple of principals that have been, we always put the principals on these committees, and Melinda Stewart from Ginny Wilson, Martha Garter from Abe Hubert. So just to give you a little bit of background on the readiness, about 3 years ago when the board was going to the board faculty meetings, there was a common theme that kept occurring, and it was that our kids were not ready for the next grade level. They weren't ready for the rigorous instruction that was occurring the following year. So Dr. Atha at that time came to me and asked if we could put together a committee to study the issue and come up with something that's going to work. So we started with that kindergarten committee that was comprised of teachers, administrators, instructional coaches, and we didn't have parents on the committee at that time, but the following year we did add the parents to that committee. So we studied that issue, and it really was really good. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
How good was it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Anyway, the committees were formed to kind of look at that retention. And at that time that we were looking at that, Governor Brownback was proposing that we retain 3rd grade students if they didn't meet expectations. This committee, when they really started looking at that, they said that's way too late. If we're going to retain, we need to retain at the early grades. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys, since I'm losing my train of thought here. So.
Was that retention piece from Brownback, was that based on reading? that the only portion of what he was concerned with?
A lot of that was reading, because when you look at that, when you look at reading around 3rd or 4th grade, that's when they really start seeing that difference. But it really makes a difference at the kindergarten and 1st grade level.
It's so great that we were proactive and we knew that that was too late and we did what was right for kids and by implementing this program, so.
As Leanne had mentioned, this is our 3rd year of the pilot, and each year we reviewed and updated the rubric. As she said, I'm one of the leaders that leads the kindergarten and 1st grade district grade level meetings that meet each month. And we are continually bringing this up to teachers and getting their feedback, and then we take that feedback back to the committee as well. So that way we're seeing how it goes throughout the process. Also, a parent communication piece has been a big part of the success, is that we have been visiting with our parents throughout the school year, starting with the beginning of the year and throughout the year. As a teacher, if we have a student that we feel is not progressing academically, if we have concerns, if they're not showing the adequate growth that we think they should be showing based off of our standards, then we will give them the rubric 2 to 3 times throughout the school year and see how they do on the rubric, and then in May we do the final rubric on them, and if they don't meet the rubric requirements, then that's how we know that they will be retained for the following school year.
Have you found that parents have taken that rubric as more of an objective piece than subjectively just trying to say, we don't think your student's ready to move on? Do you feel like that's a good way to support what you're doing?
I do. I feel like even when we showed them at the kindergarten screening, that's the first time they see this kindergarten screening, and when I conference with parents, I feel that they are very confident that it's very black and white. This is what your child needs to learn in kindergarten. This is what they need to have to be 1st grade ready. And they appreciate having that in front of them right away. So then throughout that kindergarten experience, they know what their child's striving for, and so that they have that understanding. So then when it comes to May, if they don't pass the rubric, it's not a surprise, and they feel confident that they know why their child's not ready.
Do you feel like the parents have taken more of a helper role at home and worked on those tasks and skill sets in addition to what you're providing in the classroom?
I do. Just this year, I had a student that I did the rubric on, and I wasn't really thinking he was going to be a student that I was going to do the rubric on, but I ended up having some concerns based on effort throughout the year, things that I had been seeing, and so I brought parents in and we visited about it, and I said, we're going to do the rubric on him, we're going to see how he does, and they had asked me what they need to work with him at home on, because they really wanted to work with him on home.
Perfect.
And so they were working with him at home, and the strides that he had made in a few weeks is outstanding. Just that he was doing it at home in school, and then you could just see the effort and the drive he had within himself because he was wanting to do better. And I did the rubric on him just last week, and he did amazing. And
See, testimonials like that make me want to take this to our state convention and say, this is an awesome piece. This is something that we developed on our own because we knew it was right for kids, and it hits these things. And every district in our state has a concern of parent connection and communication. And a testimonial like what you just gave, if that could help somebody else, that's amazing. And this is, it's like we could patent this. This is our baby, and I'm so proud of what we've done here. It's awesome.
To add on, I had, I think, 7 kids that I did the rubric on, just that were right at that point, and you have to get 23 points or more for 1st grade to go to 2nd grade. And I had 6 or 7 kids that were at 21, 22 points, and a couple that were 16s and 17s. They've all passed, and they are all moving on, and they passed by not just 1 point, but anywhere from 5 to probably 6, 8 points on. So.
And you're not teaching to tick the box.
No.
You're teaching because these are skill sets that need to be a foundation for good learning at the next grade level, right? Okay. Sorry, I'll stop talking. I'm just really passionate about this program. I'm glad you accepted.
Something that keeps coming up is parent communication, and that's a very important part of it.
is communicating with parents, making sure parents understand what we expect and where their child is at. And like the last one about providing resources for at-home practice, the rubric kind of helps streamline that. It's really, it's really easy to look at it and tell the parent here, if you just really work on the counting and the number recognition, here at school we can kind of concentrate on these other things. And it kind of it provides a good guideline for both the parents and the teachers.
The beauty of this committee is we've had grade level teachers from the next grade level on the committee. So a kindergarten teacher might say, well, here's where I can get them, but the first grade teacher will say, if you can get them here, I can take them on from there. So that's been pretty powerful.
Okay, I'm supposed to talk about the rubric, right? All right. The rubric just includes the basic skills in kindergarten that we teach. They're identified necessary for first grade, and then the ones in first grade are identified for second grade. So we've looked very carefully. We have tweaked it. We've worked it back and forth. We've taken some things off. We aligned everything with the Common Core standards. And I don't know if you all have a copy of what our proposal is for next year, but basically we're at 22 and below qualifies for kindergarten retention for the kindergarten level. Do you have a copy? Do you want a copy?
They look at this every year and they tweak it at the end of the year to make sure that it works for kids.
Yeah,
so,
Yeah, I do.
Because I'm sorry, I said yes because I know we've got a copy from
the
before.
kindergarten. Every year it looks a little different.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not totally
Which is good. I mean, it's a living
right.
organism, like it's supposed to change.
And with these committees, they've really been guided by 3 questions. If you look at Rick Dufour, who really talks about the PLCs, it's what do you want students to know and be able to do? How do you know that they're performing? What are you willing to do if they don't? So the what are you willing to do if they don't is where we're really talking about that mandatory retention piece.
What this does for us is it gives us a guideline. So every kindergarten teacher in the district will be using this as the reference point. And I think that's a big, important issue. Before, you would have to come up with your own ideas and think what you wanted to do. This sets a good pace for everybody across the district in kindergarten, that this is what we're doing, this is how it works, this is what's important for first grade, because those first grade teachers have told us, this is what we need. If they have this, they're ready to go. They have these points, they're ready to go.
Okay, so this is our retention data from the last 3 years. We don't have this year's current data yet because the school year hasn't quite come to an end, and the teachers have until May 15th to submit their retention rubrics. But the ones highlighted in purple are the last 2 years of data that we have, and then the ones in white, the years in white, were the 3 previous years prior to setting up this retention rubric. So you can see that we've really decreased the number of retentions almost by half in the last 2 or 3 years than we did previously. And by retaining these kids in K-1, it hasn't made other grade levels increase in retentions. And it's actually it's even decreased a lot of those numbers.
I don't know that our intent was to decrease retentions as we went into this, but I think that you're seeing more consistency and we have better knowledge about what kids know and are able to do, and that's just the result of that over time.
Okay, there's several benefits to this. One that these ladies have kind of talked about is the consistency. We have a lot of kids that move from one school to another, even in our district alone, besides the ones that come in and out. And so no matter which school they may start at or end at, the same rubric is following along and everybody's consistent with it. And then the other piece has really been huge. Again, I know we talk a lot about parent communication, but it is so important. And it's one thing that we've kind of lacked in previous years, and it's just pretty awesome now. There's a lot more conversations with parents.
Well, and it sets the hook for that communication channel early in the student's career. So
Kindergarten screening.
In 8th grade, the student's more comfortable going to the teacher. So awesome.
Yeah.
And like you said, Chloe, earlier about taking the subjectivity out of it, it's focused on student learning. It's not about, well, the teacher thinks that he will do better another year in kindergarten. That's what I had to use when I was a kindergarten teacher. I didn't have this, and I'm thinking, gosh, he's still struggling after I did this, after I did this, after I did this. Will he be better in first grade with another teacher, or will he be better if I retain him? And if I retain him, is he gonna still struggle, or is he gonna be at the top of his class? So all those things are things that I considered, and now, I mean, it's laid out for a teacher. And it's laid out for a first-year teacher, a veteran teacher, it doesn't matter, it's all right there, and it's focused on what the student knows.